Good morning, UMortgage. Welcome to another Monday market update. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Went to, a dozen open houses, met 2 dozen agents, 3 dozen borrowers, and, got some contracts over the weekend. My name is Sean Grapevine. I am the director of Agent Direct here at UMortgage, coming from our Atlanta studio. Here I am joined by a man who needs no introduction, but who will get one anyway. He's the Mac of the rate stack. He has his bips for breakfast. He does best effort with no effort. He's the Baron of Bips, the Lord of the Locks. He's the Sultan of SLAs. He's undeterred by the low volume of the late summer doldrums in this market. He's the man who's more liquid than the Chinese real estate market. He's the Colossus of credit, the king of collateralized debt. He's the one, the only, the awesome Austin Koenig. Welcome, Austin.
Thank you, Sean. Great intro as always. It's good to have you on.
Thank you.
And let's get right into it. I mean, rates are looking tough this morning, right?
I try not to look at them. It doesn't matter. I just live in the moment, like when it comes time to quote a loan, I just quote it, and whatever it is, and I'm sure that it's competitive for the market, and awful for compared to 2021, which I shouldn't be thinking about. So, anyway, yeah. But now I'm pulling it up, and I see the 10 years above 4.3. It is pretty bad. It's not good, is it?
Not ideal, but we see some weakness in MBS too. I would say you expect rates and the rate sheets to be a little bit worse, but we don't really have any economic data today driving that. And in fact, really, I think a lot of this is positioning ahead of what I guess really our big event this week, which we did not get an invite to. I'm kind of disappointed about that, but the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium is happening at the end of the week.
Yeah. Warren did. He sent me an invite. I told him I was busy. I told him I had the Monday market update.
Yeah, it's at the end of the week though. I mean,
I had to prepare for next. I had to prepare for next week's Monday market. I mean, it takes days of preparation to get ready for these.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. At the end of the day, we're not going. Unfortunately, we're not. But a lot of people will be paying attention to what Jerome Powell says, and I think him and one other Fed official are going to be talking on Friday. Really, kind of, publicly talking about our economy. And at the end of the day, the way I think most are probably predicting those comments to look like is a little bit on the hawkish side. So not exactly ideal for lower rates.
I mean, God, can we get any more hawkish? Like rates are, I mean, like take a chill pill. Somebody needs to just give JP a vacation. Get him down to Cancun. Give him a margarita.
There we go. At the end of the day, we don't really have I think a super clear direction of how many more hikes necessarily we're going to get, but it's more so on the front of, what are we going to see in terms of higher for longer? And that's kind of what we're trying to get from Jerome Powell and his crew necessarily. That's what we're trying to get. We're trying to see what is actually, the next cut, or if there's going to be a cut in 2024, what's that going to look like? What are the things to look out for, and what do they really see in terms of jobs, labor market, its strength and its resilience, regardless of whatever, restrictive policy you've had, and then just kind of going from there and seeing, go ahead.
Let's take a look at the big picture here. With I mentioned that you're more liquid than the Chinese real estate market. I actually don't think that's very difficult these days.
No, it's not.
And we're seeing some bad news out of China. We're seeing deflationary pressures. We're seeing slowing GDP growth after 4 decades of rip roaring red hot GDP growth, and they lowered their central rate by not as much as people maybe expected, but still lowered their federal funds rate, which is or whatever they call it, their central bank interest rate. And that's a surprise in a world that's otherwise awash in inflationary pressures that like we are just in the States getting on top of, but certainly in Europe nowhere near getting on top of, to say nothing of like South America. So with all that being said, will we how quarantined are we my guess is the answer is not very much from economic problems abroad, specifically in the biggest economy in the world from China.
That's a great question, and I'm glad you're, you know, paying attention globally. And at the end of the day,
That was honestly, I don't want to bring too much attention to it, but that was probably the best. That was probably the best question I've ever asked with the best words in it. I put the best words in the right order. It was amazing.
getting better every day. I love to see it, and this
Every
is,
year.
and it's
We've
going
been
to be
doing
hard
this
to
a
get
year.
better
I
from this.
finally,
So
yeah, I did do a good job. Finally, a year into this, we're nearing our 1 year anniversary. I don't know if you have
that's
anything
right.
planned for us. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. I think that's 100% a valid concern, and I would say generally, China is kind of a unique circumstance. They're one of the few that are having an issue with growth. At the end of the day. So, you mentioned Europe, you mentioned some of these other economies that, we interact with. And at the end of the day, this is a world economy. So, China having difficulties will eventually, I think, play some factors into what we see. But at the end, like, how much is China's slow growth or kind of need for stimulus? How long is it going to last? How severe is it? I think those are things that we still don't quite know yet, and the factors and the implications of how that plays into our economy, are yet to be seen. And that's actually something I'd be curious to see how Jerome Powell comments on within, the Jackson Hole or whoever else, his comments on the state of China in regards to how that may affect our growth going forward, or how our economy fares. At the end of the day, the Fed is concerned about our borders, but they can't ignore the fact that it is a world economy, and there may be implications. And what will they look for in terms of how this, you know, plays into our, policies going forward? I think it's a little too early to tell how this is all going to go, but definitely a very interesting development, nonetheless. And it's kind of the minority story of just general world economies. Everyone's kind of in the same boat as the U.S., and the U.S. is kind of pegged as the strong one right now, the one that
Sure.
got on top of inflation quicker than others.
GDP is
Seeing,
strong.
yep, GDP is strong. We had,
Job
we had
growth.
some, yep, we had some weakness early on, but it's kind of resilient, like gotten resilient and grown from there. So at the end of the day, like, how bad is it? How severe is it in China? I think this is kind of, we're getting the inklings of it getting pretty rough, but how bad does it actually get?
Well,
We'll kind of
they're
see.
obviously also a bit of a black box too. I mean, we only get the information that they want us to have, right, or that they're comfortable sharing. So I think nobody's ever. You kind of gotta think that if they're saying, "Hey, it's pretty bad over here," I mean, just judging by how they have been so closed lids about anything, if they're saying it's pretty bad, you got to think it's pretty
Really,
pretty bad.
yeah.
Yeah. They're not under promising and over delivering. They on their news.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of, where there's always skepticism around China, and you're exactly right. So I think at the end of the day, that's kind of where we have to see it play out into the numbers that we can trust to an extent, right? And implications in the world of economy, like we're talking earlier about like how were we in recession or were we not, right? And for that, first period of kind of like the end of 2021, early 2022, we're seeing like shrinking in GDP. The only way to really measure a recession is kind of backwards looking at the end of the day. So
Sure.
it's always tough in real time to say, hey, we are definitely in recession right now before you have a little bit of time to measure it. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it is. China's the second biggest economy in the world. So obviously there is going to be some implications there. But how much, that's TBD. And how does that affect mortgage rates? That's a lot of different,
Yeah. You do.
culminating factors.
You wish it would pull down a little bit. I mean, the
Mhm.
second biggest economy in the world saying that they're struggling with growth and reducing their rates, but judging by the numbers this morning, no effect so far. Or if there is any, then I shudder to see the unaffected version of rates. So, well, I think that paints a pretty good picture. What do we have? So we got Jackson Hole this week. I'll be attending virtually. You'll be attending virtually as usual, and the Jets in the shop.
Yep.
So, and we'll be watching with bated breath on that. What do we have a? I mean, we don't have CPI for another 2 or 3 weeks. We don't have
Hmm.
a Fed meeting for 4 or 5 weeks. So, we've got kind of going through a bit of a dry spell data wise here. We've got jobs numbers coming out. When does that usually come out?
Jobs will come out and really next Friday. So whatever the first Friday of the month is. So that's going to be next Friday, and obviously that's going into a Labor Day weekend. So kind of the perfect perfect storm of slow and an important data number to really have an exaggerated reaction. Here's why I think as well. Jackson Hole's probably going to be the biggest mover, if we're going to be perfectly honest with you, and there's going to be a lot of positioning ahead of time. I think to kind of, you know, decide, a lot of people are the popular bet right now in the market is shorting treasuries, basically thinking rates are going to continue to go up. There's
Great.
kind of, different levels that people are, looking at, but, that is the kind of popular trade. There's also more treasury issuance later this week. So that's going to drive more supply into the market for buyers to have to buy up. So not a great story for rates this week necessarily. But at the end of the day, we saw Friday kind of, have rates get some relief without much driving it necessarily.
Mhm.
We'll see probably some fluctuations, during this week, but nothing big. I would say existing home sales, great. That's coming out tomorrow. Um, I think the housing starts data is probably a little bit more important because everyone knows it's a supply problem in real estate right now.
Sure.
So if we see existing home sales tick up, great, but it's also lagging information. And if we're also looking at Thursday initial jobless claims, Rob always talks about this in his market minute that he does after Mondays. So initial jobless claims shouldn't really be pushing the market like crazy. We saw pretty much meet expectations on the dot last week. No real, tangible reaction to it. But hey, if something happens out of the blue, we could see some reaction from it. So let's keep that in mind. That's Thursday morning. But outside of that, I think Friday, you got to circle that on your calendar. Jerome Powell speaks, the market listens, and not to inflate his ego any more than it already is, but that's the way it is. So
All right, all right. Hopefully he indicates that they're warming up the old money printer for use sometime here in the distant future. That
doubt it.
it's so yeah. Well, okay. Kind of a snooze fest of a week till Friday. We'll see what old JP's got to say for himself. Probably nothing good. I think that the lesson for now is we're still people still need housing. We're still the best positioned in the market to win the market, and the loan officers have at UMortgage have access to every product, incredible service, and the lowest rates available. Speaking of which, just rolled out the Windsor Zero. We're rolling out the Windsor Zero Flex on the 23rd. And Rob, if you guys haven't seen it already, go back and watch Friday's daily sales huddle. It seems like a really great product. I mean, it's a true down payment assistance loan, no income limits that we can price lender paid. And if you see the 10-year, it somehow get down to 4.1, 4.09, then we might be in the money for they're not being able to not having to charge any discount points on that. But even as it is, it's just one or two right now. So pretty strong product, and definitely another arrow in the quiver to entice those agents, entice those borrowers, get some pipelines moving, and get people excited. We got to be the. I mean, I know this is Windsor's product, so sorry, Windsor, but we got to be the UWM of innovation, right? When we got a new product, we got to let everybody know. When we don't have a new product, we still got to find something to let everybody know. But this really is something to let people know. The Zero Flex looks like a really strong product that could definitely anybody who doesn't qualify for the 1% down and can't get the seller concessions of EPM's Empower deal. This could be the one. So you guys ready? You guys ready for it over there on the lock desk?
Yeah, and actually, we're making sure Arrive is ready to go on pricing that out as early as today. They've kind of already gotten the sneak peek of that, so working with them on the back end to make sure everything goes right on that front. But yeah, we're ready for it and we're excited for it. I think it's a great product. Windsor's a great partner, and we'll continue to innovate with them and as well as our other lender partners. So it's great to see them roll this out. I think it's a huge notch in the tool belt for all of you guys down on the ground floor, going to open houses, helping borrowers in all shapes and sizes. So this is a great product to add to our list.
Love it. Love it. Well, Austin, I appreciate your time. Hopefully we meet, next week under under better circumstances. But if not, I'm looking forward to it anyway. Thanks to you out there, and thanks to you, Austin.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you.